So I'm going to be this next question is for Pastor Mike. What's your course of correction for someone who's operating in disobedience? How do you beat them up, Mike?
Well, I beat them up like a Marine. Go destroy and figure it out later. No, I'm just joking, but I'm gonna keep it Army though. But no, what I do is they're an opposite. I love them, like Pastor Gary said. I love them, and I show love. That was I can't get that quote. I was thinking about that quote that said, "Show me how much you care by your. Don't just tell me, but show me." It's something I forget that quote, but I grew up with that. You can tell a person how you feel about them, but show me how you feel. Well, I remember God told me years ago when I first got saved, is that you got to show people you love them. And I remember I used to go home all the time, and I had a first cousin. He was a pastor, preacher. Nevertheless, anyway, he was a preacher, and but he would have his nose turned up whenever he came home. He brought his mom over, which is my auntie, the oldest one. So he'd bring her home, but he wouldn't interact with nobody, because everything they did to him was sinful. Everything, whether they was eating, just laughing and joking. Now there was drinking, there was partying. Don't get me wrong, there was loudness, there was all that. I grew up in a rambunctious family, loud. We just some loud people. But anyway, so one time my aunt came from, she came up from New York, and she said, "Nephew, I want to ask you something." I said, "Yeah, auntie." She said, "Well, how come you don't act like my nephew Robert?" And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, he don't interact. He don't talk with us. He look down on us. He treat us like we just like a plague, for lack of better words. He don't interact with us." And I said, "Well, auntie, the Bible commanded us to love people. So how these people are going to see God if I don't love them? If I don't sit here, if I don't talk to them, if I look down on them, if I treat them like they're a plague, if I treat them like they're just sinners going to hell, they can't be reached like that, because Jesus didn't do that. He went among everyone. He went amongst these people. Now, certain places we ought not to go because people can't handle it, and it ain't for you to be in there.